What is up, my DJ interview peoples? This is Harry the Big Dog with the DJ interview. And tonight, we're going to continue on what we were talking about the last few episodes is getting you as a DJ ready for 2021 and some of the things, some tips that you can do. I've got a special guest that's getting ready to come on in a few minutes, but some tips that you can do to get ready and really get yourself out there. I know I've been talking about the streaming part of it. You guys, you have to get on this streaming thing and get good at it. Get your tech straight. So definitely do that. As always, it's Tuesday. It's 8 o'clock ish. Welcome everybody from YouTube, from my other Facebook pages, from Twitter, Twitch, Periscope, and 4 or 5 different other ones. So let's go. Hey y'all, what's up? Harry the Big Dog again. And the question that I have for my guest is, how could you as a DJ get yourself ready for 2021 and really getting out there? For some of you, 2020 was a horror story. For some of you, it was the best thing that ever happened. So for you guys that's saying it's a horror story, let's get you guys up and running. Let me check the chat. All right. We are going to bring on our special guest. He is a media planner extraordinaire. And I'm going to give him a couple of questions. That way he can help you guys start thinking about other things you can do. All right. Jason Hodge.
Hey, how you doing, man?
How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good. Look, when you brought these questions, the conversation that we had about this, to the table, yeah, I have some very strong feelings about this. Okay? Very strong feelings about this. And the question that I have is, and this is with every creative, because I know that there's a lot of artists out there and they don't want to feel like they are compromising their art form, and I get that.
Right.
And they don't want to feel like they are doing something that's not real mainstream and all of that. But here's a question that I have, especially for the DJs, because DJs are in a very niche arena. DJs, they create the atmosphere for the parties. If the DJ isn't on point, then the party isn't either.
Right.
And the party ends rather quickly. So when you are about building your business, you have to realize that visibility is power. And if you are not being visible, if you're not getting exposure, then your talents are going to be eclipsed by, or somebody else is going to overshadow them. Somebody else is going to eat your lunch, basically.
Right.
You got other less qualified DJs out there who are willing to get out there, and then they are getting the exposure, and you'll see them in the limelight and you're like, I'm better than that guy.
Right.
But they got out in the limelight. So exposure, I got a really good tip. Now, unfortunately, probably most of your DJs aren't going to take this tip. I'm just going to let you know that right now. Okay? Because it's something that they have to feel like they're compromising themselves, and it's not really a compromise. And I want to give a different frame, because I think with this frame up, it will help your DJs to kind of think of it from this standpoint. What happens if you get a gig and they want you to play a certain set of music? Now, it's not music that you particularly like. It's not music that you care about or anything like that. However, it is what they selected, and they're paying you to play that music.
Right.
You still have to make it lively as a DJ. You still have to make it work because you have to keep the party moving. You have to keep everything going. And if you don't, then you will soon not be getting paid and
Right,
not be getting other gigs. So with
right,
that in mind, one of the most powerful things that you can do is get your skills out on the open platforms like your Facebooks, like your YouTubes and all of that. But one of the biggest problems that DJs run into is copyright infringement. You play somebody's music that you don't have the rights to, not only can you get your channel shut down, but you also can get fined. And this is what I don't see a lot of people recognizing. You can't just put a notification up there that says, I do not own the rights to this music, and then play the music. Because if that company decides to go after you, then that could be an infringement cost of, and this was back in the day. I remember a friend of mine got dinged for this. It was $7,500 per occurrence. He got
wow.
a 7,500.
So
Okay,
for every piece of music,
7,500.
100. So for
Okay,
every piece of
real
music somebody played, they got dinged.
got dinged.
In 15 minutes, you could play like 20 songs.
You could have it on multiple platforms, and each one of those platforms is a
Wow.
new infraction. So he got hit with a bill, and then the attorney says, "Okay, we'll tell you what. We're going to take it down to 3,500 per occurrence, just to give you a break because you didn't know." He still was out about 15 grand by the time he finished paying.
Wow.
Okay,
That is crazy. So
crazy and real. That's the
so
real numbers. And yeah, go
we
ahead.
got another special guest I'm gonna bring on
Mhm.
while you're talking.
Mhm.
What's up, Chris?
Yes. How you
What's
doing?
going on, champ? The double nickel in the building.
For
Yeah.
real.
The double nickel.
Tomorrow's the big day.
Oh,
But
yeah.
AARP.
Yeah,
Here we
yeah, yeah.
go.
Look at
AARP.
that. Look at that.
You down with ARP?
Look,
Yeah,
you don't look a day over 54, bro.
Hey,
Not a day over it. I'm telling
thank
you.
you. I appreciate it.
the
So
Afro about 65.
About that. About that. And it weighs about that too. So,
yeah.
Pay attention.
I
Jason
couldn't
with the
resist.
So
I
up.
couldn't
Jason,
resist.
finish your
Okay.
story because
All
I'm
right. So
on
he's out about 15
too.
grand now, right? And the thing is that all he had to do though, all he had to do was to go to some of these platforms and get himself some of the music that's on the platforms. And there's a lot of artists who are on these platforms now that actually give their music over for the credit to be used. So he could have taken the music that sounded mainstream, and it actually is mainstream. It's just not well-known artists. You're not dealing with like the Beyoncés or the Jay-Z's or whatever. You
Right.
know, yeah. So you've got artists who are trying to make their break, trying to get their exposure out. You could take a collection of those things, put together your own mix, and then do your own promos. So that way folks can see, oh, so this is how this DJ, how they roll. This is how they flow.
Right.
And you can play that anywhere because you have the license for that music. So it's just about being legal. You can play
Right.
it anywhere so long as you have the right documentation.
So now check this out. Facebook has their own music too.
Hmm.
A lot of it is not bad. It's just
Right.
not, what people are used to hearing.
Right.
So as a, probably as a DJ, you
Hmm.
can download because they tell you download this music so you can play on our platform. And
Okay,
YouTube
but check
has
this
the
out,
same
Harry.
thing.
Yeah.
YouTube
But
has
check
the
this.
same exact thing where you can download
Yeah.
music and create a mix.
But I'm going to ask you this. Okay, so are you a DJ worth his salt or her salt? Because you're going to take anything. I've heard really messed up songs that a DJ, once they finish with it, it's like, oh man, that's good. Like I could listen to that. And I've seen them turn around a song just with their mixes, their remixes, and all that. So you could do the same thing with these if you know what you're doing. I mean,
Right.
that's the real test there.
Chris, what's your take on this with the DJs and the whole point of this show is bringing DJs up to speed with their tech and everything and promotions and all that, getting ready for 2021. So and we were talking about stuff that DJs can do, and one of them was download music from the different platforms and put a mix to that. So, what's your take, sir?
I know going into 2021, one of the top things, not just DJs have to do, but any entrepreneur, any contractor, anybody out here creating content, one of the top things you're going to need to do is reduce your risk, because there's been a lot of money thrown around, and these people, the government and everybody else going to want their money back. So they're going to look for that low hanging fruit, just like what Jason was talking about. That's an easy thing for some attorneys to get $3,500 or slap $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 lawsuit on you on a number of people, right? That's the low hanging fruit for them, and people are going to be in desperate need of income, right? Not are going to be, and they're going to look for their come up. Every industry going to look for their come up, and for attorneys, they're going to look for this low hanging fruit, and you can become an easy target. As a DJ, right? You become an easy target, but you got to reduce your risk and use what's available, use what you got, or just go ahead and get the right licensing that you need so that you can make whatever it is you want to make. It's fine now, but you got to keep in mind the current times.
Right.
They're going to look to get their money back somehow, right? They're not just going to give out 900 billion and be like, "Oh, don't worry about nothing out there."
And they've been doing that for years. A lot of people don't know, us in the marketing field. When you download pictures and everything from Google, you're using somebody else's pictures. They have a way to track that picture. They
came knocking on my door. I used a photograph in one marketing piece early on when I first got started, and a guy had an attorney contact me for $800.
Wow.
That photo. And I was like, what do you mean? I just got off the internet. I learned so much that day about copyright infringement, and to make sure I had an understanding of what fair use was. I had to make sure that, I had to understand all those little different nuances before you use a pic. Even for sites that I paid for to get pictures from, I read the fine print. I sat there and read it all to protect myself, to understand that there's sometimes you can use something for personal use, but you can't use it for commercial use. And you got to understand that difference, because they'll come after you. I mean, the guy came after me for 800. I didn't have to pay it, because how he posted it on the site, that was his error. He made a slight error. That's the only thing that protected me, is because he had it posted on one site where you could use it. So that was my little loophole. But on the other sites, it was copyright infringement. But since he had it on one site where it was free to use, that's what protected me.
Right. Tough lesson.
We got DJ Butter L checking in. What's up, bro?
DJ Butter L. What up? What up?
Yeah.
What up? So I think this is going to be a great time for DJs, though. I think this is going to be probably one of the best years for most DJs to experience, especially for the DJs that are willing to get outside of the box.
Yep.
And especially dive in. I think we're only scratched the surface of what this virtual opportunity is offering, but you're going to have to be willing to get out there, to get in front of it, and not just wait for and watch what everybody else is going to do. You're going to have to be willing to get out there and establish yourself as this virtual DJ. When somebody thinks virtual, they need to think of your name. Your name need to come up, right? And there's plenty of opportunity and niche markets for DJs to capitalize.
Yep, it sure is. We got international DJ Tommy Lee checking in.
Harry, you said it wrong. Harry, you said it's the international DJ.
Let me start it over.
Respect on his name.
Let me maximize myself. Hide all the messages. The international
DJ.
Wait.
Oh,
Don't mess me up. The international DJ Tommy Lee. You got to do it with the hands too. So,
That's right.
So now, this is for both of you guys.
We need a GoFundMe for Geritol for you.
Yeah.
Your memory ain't worth nothing.
This is for both of you guys. The last couple of episodes, I've been talking about, the streaming thing. It's not going away.
Mhm.
We collectively just did a show. We produced a show, a comedy show for the veterans.
Right.
You guys got to check that out.
It was awesome.
But we produced the show, and one of the things Chris told me, because I was thinking about getting everybody there, everybody in the world, the 2.3 billion people on Facebook. I was wanting to get, but he was like, get the tech straight first, and then we can worry about the people.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like this through the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wake up.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, but because that's a prime example of the opportunities that exist for DJs. Now, the international DJ Tommy Lee was there, right?
Yeah.
And he had his music playing. And what was unique about this situation, that even if you couldn't be the live DJ, you could create a mix for ahead of time. I mean, so that's another income stream where you don't even have to be there live. Your mix could be there live. So what you got to think about what Tommy was doing there, right? Even though he couldn't do it live, the music was there, and that's just another stream. But DJs got to get it in your head now. Who could you write this down? Somebody put this in the chat. Who can you partner with for online events where you could be the DJ? Who can you partner with? Harry just had an event. So you got comedy shows, you got weddings, you got birthdays, you got all kinds of events. Who could you partner with to have music on there? Knowing how to bring that party, rock that party virtually, and partner with people, not just with individuals. Here's how you can dominate the market. Write this down as well. If you want to dominate the market as a DJ, here's what you need to do. Join organizations like the meeting planners and organizations. Join those. Join veteran organizations, just like what Harry put on. Join comedy show organizations, not just individual, like, oh, my boy Jason, he in that. Forget that. You better get who Jason is signed up with, so that you, instead of just having one contact, you can have thousands across the country. You got to get in touch with those organizations and develop relationships, not in 2021. You got to do it now.
Yeah.
Christmas ain't going to be like it used to be. Right. People going to be home networking. I already got 2 live streams planned for Christmas. Harry going to do a live stream probably on Christmas Day with music.
For real.
It's time to plug in now. Don't let the D-Nices and everybody else out there get the whole pie. Start developing now.
Yeah, we're actually toying with doing something for New Year's Eve. Just putting it out there. So we're getting it together now and seeing, all the logistics right now. It should be a done deal between today and tomorrow. But
hey Jason, I thought Harry was taking a break, Jason.
Yeah, I thought I was taking
Was it me, Jason, or did you hear that too?
I even turned my hearing off. I was like,
on the first day of the new year, he's already doing something about, I'm taking a break. He ain't taking no break.
Yeah. I thought I was, but yeah.
But you know what Chris is talking about though? I call that hub strategy. You have to connect with the hubs. And the hub is just like the spoke, the hub that goes in the middle of the wheel and all the spokes that go out. Yeah. You have to have that central unit. What thing governs the other things? Because in that hub, you have all your resources. You have your referrals, you have your affinity markets, or the things that are connected to it. So, like, say, for example, that your thing is music, music.
Jason, use your smaller words.
I know. Okay. All right. Okay. So you're DJing a party, right? Everybody at that party is a potential client and a potential evangelist for you. Because if you do what you do right, then depending on the party that you're doing, right? Like say that it's an executive event or whatever.
Right.
Each one of those executives in the room, remember the experience that you gave them. but they
Right.
won't know it if you don't get in front of them first. And how are you going to get in front of them if you're not using material that you can spread across the board? Which brings us right back to that music. Whether you're downloading from YouTube, or downloading from Facebook, wherever, use that and leverage it. Leverage is key.
Yep,
Well, you can't
definitely.
let that be the thing
I was resisting that a little because it is music that people don't know, but it actually just makes sense if you want to put yourself out there and not get cut off. Facebook is allowing you to download their music that they said it's okay to play.
Exactly.
And if you listen to it, it's not bad. It's not the greatest, but it's not bad.
Well, it's like anything that you do, anything that you can take and make your own, and that is what real, hard in the paint DJs do. They make that music their own to where that experience that the people have who are listening to it, they
Right.
remember it. And so you need to be able to now make the person forget that this isn't quote unquote mainstream. It's like, man, that was a mainstream feel that I had with that. I don't know what it was, but that DJ really knew what they were doing. So you have to bend your skill set to make that work like you do everything else.
Right.
It's like to keep this in perspective. Your DJ business is the meal. What you're doing online is the appetizer, right? It's the sizzle. It's to get people interested to book you.
That's right.
So you got to ask yourself, is it worth the risk? Sorry about that, guys. Is it worth the risk to have your whole environment, social media environment shut down, and then you won't be able to serve appetizers anymore?
Right.
Right. So you got to think of it like that. You don't want to cut off the flow. Social media is a funnel. It helps you get people in your funnel that get into your business. Don't destroy your funnel, because that's the lifeblood to your business, just because you want to play the latest stuff, because you want to do this or do that. And you still, the funny thing is you still can, just by getting the right licensing. Right. So it's just about being unstoppable. Right. It's about being unstoppable so that you can get people in your funnel, so that you can get these gigs and dominate a marketplace.
And I want you to think about it like this also. When it comes to like right now, with you happen to go to an event. I mean, right now everything is virtual.
Is that a real word, happen?
It is now.
It is exactly. Exactly. So here it is that you would have to drive to the venue, fly to the venue, whatever, and you would have to, do that expense to get there. Now it's a matter of making sure that your technology for your live streaming is on point. The amount that you would have spent to do all the rest of the stuff, you could take that money now and invest it in your technology, invest it in your platforms, and you won't miss a beat. So it's just a dollars and cents thing. It's like you could spend the dollars over here and it's a one shot, or you can invest it here in your business, and now you have that thing going for years on one investment.
But Jason, to your point, the biggest investment that all of us going to have to make, DJs, non-DJs, all of us out here, your biggest investment is going to be making sure you got reliable internet, high speed internet. I mean, there is no way to do virtual. Talk about, I'm just going to use my phone as a hotspot and have all this stuff going through. That ain't gonna work for you. You may be able to do sound, but the quality of the sound, because of the technology, the amount of information that has to travel over that. So you got to make sure one of your biggest investments is going to have to be internet, and then the quality of your audio. And then you can think about the quality of your video later. I mean, it's about putting things in priority. But without reliable, strong internet, it's gonna hurt you. This is for everybody. It's gonna have to do that.
Well, one of the things that they can do in order to ensure that is they should contact their carrier, find out what system they are. Are they still on coax? Are they on fiber optics? What system is the setup? What what is the capacity? What can you afford, and what can actually go into your unit? If you're at your apartment or your home or whatever, what is the highest level of technology that can be inserted into your space?
Right.
You know,
But reliable technology.
reliable technology. Because there's some systems that they have not upgraded yet. They still are
Right.
on coax, you know, and you can't do anything about that. You can only do what you can do. But if you're not at the highest level, you know, say that you had the ability to do like a T1 or whatever, you know, if you can put it in, because then you know that it's secure. You know, so I would say contact your carrier. And then if your area is open to competition, because some areas it's a monopoly, you can only get one type of carrier there. Some you've got like 2 or 3 carriers that can go there, and one may be better than the other, and then also the price point. So you need to do that kind of research right there to make sure that you have the best, not only in technology, but in price point as well, you know?
But you know, one of the big things I did, Jason, where I live now, one of the big decisions that determined where I live now was Google Fiber, right? Because there were several parts of Atlanta I was looking at moving to.
Right.
My decision, top decision outside of crime, top decision, because you know people like Harry are spread out throughout the U.S. So top decision outside of crime. I mean Harry back in the day, not Harry now.
Yeah, thank you.
Right.
But the biggest decision was internet. I needed to make sure I had the best speeds possible. Like who could I go with that had the best, most reliable? That was a determining decision on why I moved to this side of town, because parts of town, because it's not all over Atlanta.
Right.
So you gotta make decisions for your business, even if you have to relocate somewhere to make sure that you have what you need for your operation.
But how many people have that wrong though? They have it twisted. They make personal decisions and then say that my business has to fit into that, instead of recognizing that you have to make a business decision in order to be able to have the freedoms in your personal. Okay. So if you don't do stuff that is going to support your business will cease to pay you. And if your business ceases to pay you, then now you're back into, okay, you got to do what your boss says. You got to do what circumstances tell you to do, because your business does not have the legs. You have not put the legs under it to stand on in order to draw cash out of it whenever you need to. So you made a business decision in order to determine where you're going to live that was not going to compromise your cash flow in the future, which that's what we need to be thinking about when it comes to, is our business going to support us and give us the lifestyle that we want, or is it just a hobby?
Right. Hard decisions too. It's nothing easy about making those types of decisions. It's just one of those things you just got to look at and be like, yo, real talk. I mean, can I do what I'm doing on no disrespect to anybody on the type of internet AT&T offers? No. I don't even know if I can make it through a complete interview online on that internet, because it's so unreliable. And a lot of times the uptime, I know Harry talks a lot about the download speeds, upload speeds. You better pay attention to uptime. Do some research. Find how often that network is up in your area. Because if it's a type of network that, I mean, not just online, go around to some of the neighbors. Hey, which internet is the best for this particular area? Because if your uptime's not good, you're in the middle of DJing some big time. You got your biggest gig and you're on there DJing some virtual event, and then the internet goes down. That's a nightmare. I mean, it can happen with the best internet, don't get me wrong, but you got to do as much as possible to protect yourself ahead of time.
Yeah. And it's always good to have a map as well. And by that, I mean, okay, there was one time we were doing a rebuild for it's an online training center. And so we had to replace their content. And in my city, there was somebody hit one of the transformers, power went out, the grid went down for everybody. So I had to know where I could get to quick enough in order to make sure that the show still went on. I drove to the nearest hotspot, you know, my community hotspot, if you will, in order to make sure. And the folks on the other side did not know a thing. They didn't know what happened. So you have to have a game plan in place to know that if something were to happen, what do I do next? Okay, I can go here, here, here. What's your 1 mile radius? What's your 5 mile radius? What's your 10 mile radius? And how quickly can you get there? You know, you have to
Right.
have that thing all routed out just in case. And
Right.
that's when you are like looking at, and okay, that's the media planner in me. How do you plan that media out? How do you plan the success of your event? You
Hmm.
have to have those things back up and plan.
Yeah, and guys, we're just giving you kind of guides. This is not all concrete, but
Mm,
it's giving you information to get your juices flowing, your mind
right.
thinking about things that you probably didn't think about. You know,
Mhm,
what internet backup plan would do I have?
mhm,
You know,
mhm.
right here, I had up, since we've been talking about this, is the internet. Your
Right.
upload speed is matters the most when you're streaming. When you're downloading junk, your download speed comes into play. But when you're
Mhm.
streaming, it's coming out your system into the world, the www. So
Absolutely. Hey, and you know what? You need to also have tech people on hand that you could reach out and touch. Okay.
yeah,
You know, I got my crew right here on this broadcast that I can reach out and touch anytime that I need something. Something's going. Like a matter of fact, just before this broadcast happened, you know, Harry's like, "Oh yeah, try this out," and of
yeah.
course,
Jason's camera didn't work.
it wasn't working. And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Okay, I
Like,
don't know what's going on here." He's like, "Okay,
do this, do that.
yeah,
And then we got it up and running right
hmm hmm
before this thing.
literally, literally," you know. So you know, you have to have that, and I think what happens a lot of times from DJs, creatives, is that when they're doing things that other people are touching, there could be this like nervousness that happens. It's like, well, what if these things happen? And that usually comes from being uncomfortable about your network, uncomfortable about your support system. When your support system isn't on point, what ends up happening is that you then get freaked out because you don't know what can I do if something were to happen. And usually something always does happen. So you
Yeah,
have to have that network in place.
Yeah, it's you know what, that needs to be part of everybody's strategy plan, not
yeah.
just
Mhm.
everybody's.
Look,
Is what there something will go wrong,
Yep.
guaranteed. Something is not going to
guaranteed,
happen quite the
if
way you
nothing
want.
has gone wrong,
But
You're
part
you've
doing
of it,
something
done
wrong.
enough lives.
but part of it, part of your plan is your mindset plan. There are some things you're going to have to just decide right now. Whatever,
Mhm.
it don't
Yeah.
matter. I
Yeah.
mean, outside of the things that's going to matter most when you're doing your virtual events is if your technology goes down, a part of the technology that you need to continue.
Mhm.
Outside of that, if it ain't right, you're just gonna have to have your mindset. The next one will go a lot smoother. The next one will
Right.
go a lot better.
Mm,
What's your mindset plan? Because that could take you out. Like you're doing this, and all of a sudden your image went out, but they could still hear you. You better
Mhm.
forget about your image. Don't worry about people being able to see you. Just keep DJing, doing the music. If you can figure it out, fine. If you can't,
Mhm.
don't worry about it. But keep the
Mhm.
music going because that's your priority. But
Right.
that's a mindset thing because some people that image go out. Oh, I can't DJ now. Folks can't see me. They can't see my fly jiggy sweater. They can't see my swag. They can't see my little marketing things I got up on the screen. You can't
Right.
worry about none of that stuff. And that's all mindset.
yes.
Exactly.
Mindset. Technology is one thing, but your mindset is another to endure through it all. Push
Yeah.
through. Push
You know
through.
what, Chris? I'm glad that you said that because you know that's like a pivot conversation right there. Like, say for example, that you have sponsors. Okay, you've already attached sponsors to your event, and now the sponsors they paid for this much airtime and all of that, and things go out. Well, what do you do? Well, your pivot better go what you know from what used to be visual to an audio mention.
Hmm.
Okay, like to thank such and such sponsor. Okay, this part is brought to you by so and so. Now you actively shift gears. Nobody else knows that there's a problem until you make it a problem.
Yep.
Right.
Sure
Okay, I'm
enough.
gonna say it again. Nobody else knows it's a problem until you make it a problem. The minute you say oops or sorry or whatever, now they're like, oh, wait a minute. this isn't as good as I thought it was. But
Yeah.
prior to that, you're having a great time.
You was the man prior to that. So
Right.
DJ Butter L is asking that, he has Verizon Files, and so do I. Is that good Wi-Fi? Yes, but you don't want to use your Wi-Fi. If
Right.
you're home, you want a hard connection, especially if you're doing something for somebody. And I do believe I showed one of the adapters here, to where if you do have a laptop that doesn't have a Ethernet port, you can use one of these and still be able to plug in. Let me move the captions away. That's the thing. You still be able to plug this in your laptop in any USB port, and they do have it for the Thunderbolt ports too, and still have this connection and still hardwire your computer, which is the best internet. Wireless is not reliable enough for streaming. It's not.
Now, here's something to consider with that. And this is important. And I want everybody to think about this. Matter of fact, I'm going to ask the question first. Type in the chat, how many devices are connected to your Wi-Fi at home? I want you to think about that before I say anything else. I want you to think about the number of things in your house that are connected to your wireless. You need to know this. Because most wireless carriers have a cap for most accounts of how many things you can have. If you're on a lower internet plan, you can probably only have 5, and then some max out at 10. Now you're thinking, oh, that ain't nothing. I got that. If you think about it, I have a cell phone that's connected to it, an iPad, I have Amazon,
Netflix.
I have my computer. And then if you got other people in your, I know me personally, myself, I have about 8 things connected to Wi-Fi, printers, all that I shut off when I go live, because it becomes a competition for bandwidth. So if you have multiple people in your house, you have so much connected to your Wi-Fi, and you're trying to figure out, man, why my stream's not good? Well, all that stuff. I mean, Ring doorbell, these things we don't even think about that are connected to Wi-Fi, and it's all competing for your bandwidth that you're going to have to turn off when you stream, especially if you're doing it for your money, right? If it's connected to your bag, you got to make sure you turn those things off. And that's something a lot of people don't think about, is the number of devices that are actually connected. So I want to ask Harry and Jason, I want you to share how many devices are connected to your internet right now. On a normal day. On a normal day,
my PlayStation, 2 cell phones. This is just me. My PlayStation, 2 cell phones, a laptop that's sitting right next to me, and a couple of things downstairs, and a wireless printer. So about 7. That's why wireless. When I do my streaming, I hard connect.
Mine is 7 computers, 3 cell phones, 1 iPad, and a printer.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Exactly. And I hadn't even, until you asked that question, I didn't even stop to think about that number, which is why, like when I'm doing like mastering your media, for example, I will plug directly in, shut all the stuff off, and I'm doing it early in the morning before everybody else is awake, so that nothing else is pulling from there.
Right. Definitely. And that's why a lot of people, internet quality is crappy. They think it's something wrong, or, oh man, Facebook's slow tonight. No, you got like 12 things compete, especially if you got other people in the house. They're streaming movies, they're playing PlayStation on there. Your internet is like, help me, and you want to go live. You want to pick up your computer and your system, all that stuff. Man, your internet is like, man, please, I'm going on lunch. Anybody doing that tonight?
So we're gonna come to a close with this, but I wanna throw up a couple of things, because I'm got talked into producing another show after this. So different story. But I want to throw up a few things and get you guys
Mhm.
thoughts on it for the DJs for getting themselves ready for 2021. First
Mhm.
one is promotional material. Jason,
Videos, sizzle reel, you
Chris.
know, and video.
Oh,
Well, and let me qualify that. Videos, know what your marketplace is searching for when they're online, because you have to title your videos correctly. Okay, if you're not titling them correctly, then you're not going to be found. And you can take that and then actually turn it into a live stream ahead of time so that you start showing up in the search engines even before your event, even before the sizzle reel goes live.
yeah.
Yeah. So for me, when it comes to promotional material, you first. You you need to be prepared with what we call in the sales industry like an elevator pitch, or because you're gonna have to present you every day you step outside of your door, you are a piece of marketing material. How you dress, how you look, how you smell, how you communicate. One of the top areas that you can improve on is your communication skills. Trust me, I know this for a fact without a doubt. If you improve your communication skills, that's going to open more doors for you, because you're going to have to be able to let people know what's your value proposition. Why you? Why should I choose you over all these other people that's out here? And it can't be about money. Well, I cost less. Well, then you really hurting if it comes down to cost. Because you should not be the cheapest in the market. You better raise prices in 2021 because everybody else is. So I think your top marketing piece is you. Work on you. Work on you, a walking billboard before any post and before anything else. You got to be clear about what your value proposition is and be able to communicate that so that people can go ahead and tap into the value that you're offering.
That's good.
And
So I'll throw in one from a tech side point of view.
Mhm.
You know, go live, engage with your people. You know, somebody wants to hear from you. You know,
Mhm.
there's times where I go live and it's 0 people. There's times when I go live and there's 15 people.
Right.
But you know that engagement, that going into the chat, Tommy Lee is saying this is great. You know, I just shouted him out, just like we did with Butter L.
Mhm.
You know, shouting them out and just giving the audience some props, making
Mhm.
them look good makes you look good.
That's right.
So
absolutely.
next one, photos and videos for repurposing. And I
Mhm.
know you guys touched on it a little, but elaborate just a little bit more.
Yeah. You gotta upgrade. So 2021, there's this thing I call the 1% rule. Every day you should be working on improving some area of your personal self, your business, 1% a day. How could you make yourself better? You can't have the excuse, I don't have this or that, where every cell phone has the capability of taking some amazing pictures and videos. You
Mhm.
gotta begin this process. You gotta gloss up. Write that in the chat. Hashtag gloss up. So if you look at how I'm showing up online right now, it's a result of the gloss up. It's a result of improving. It's a result of getting better lighting, getting better cameras, getting better setup, having a background behind you that supports the type of messaging you want to get across. So for
Right.
you, what's your DJ setting look like? How could you gloss up your DJ setting? We shouldn't have to see you cooking oxtails on the back on the stove while you're DJing. So you can still DJ in the kitchen, but while you're DJing, clean that thing up. Work on it 1%. Work on getting some type of background. Think about how could you improve 1% every day.
Mhm.
But photos and video, that's the generation we in now. But also quality audio, especially with the event of the new app Clubhouse. A lot of people are moving to Clubhouse and all these other types of mechanisms. Whatever it is, you
Yep.
got
Mhm.
to begin to gloss. You got to gloss up. You got to show up where people can look at you and make some decisions, quality decisions about you.
Now, what Chris? I'm leaving it on him for a second, but what Chris is saying is, look at his background. It wasn't like this a couple of weeks ago. It was
Right.
a little bit different, but
It was
then
good.
it was still good. But it was
I don't know where you going with this, Harry.
that's why I said it was different. Now look at it. You
Just
know,
because you
you have
fried, don't be taking no uppercuts and jabs on it, brother.
A virtual uppercut there.
Harry, like, did you see him 2 weeks ago? Lord,
he was.
I tried to told him.
I wouldn't even watched him 2 weeks ago. But look at the background. Look at that.
Where'd
area.
Harry go?
He's got books back there that he actually wrote. He's got lighting. It looks
You
pleasing
still there, bro?
eyes. You know, my setup is a little crazy now because I cut this light on
Is Harry there?
right
I don't hear
behind.
anybody.
I
Oh,
cut
we
this,
go.
this light on right here and forgot to cut it off. I was testing something. So it looks like Purple Rain and where am I? And Little Red Riding Hood over here. But you know, you got some stuff going on. I cleaned up a lot of this. This was cluttered. This
Mhm.
shelf was cluttered. You know, people still wonder why I got Spider-Man and Transformer up there. And I'll answer those questions tomorrow when you show up for my little birthday bash, my DJ interview birthday bash. I'm gonna just go live and chat with people and connect with people on a deeper level. That's all it is.
Hey,
With-
Harry, let me add one quick thing
Yes.
about the background. Like my whole background setup is just the area that you hook up for your presentation. I mean, everything behind me is outside of the real cost for the books, but just all the structural stuff that's behind me is less than $100 that you put together. And it helps your background. So wherever you're DJing at, think about like take a picture of your area and be like, all right, I have this box frame. What could I do in this area to make me look more professional or to connect it to my personality type? What could you do? And it doesn't have to cost a lot of money to do it, but you can make whatever, because all you got to worry about is this window right here.
Mhm.
This window right there. That's all you have to do something to improve. And if you look at Harry's, if you look at Harry from about a month ago, it wasn't like this.
No.
Now he's got all this. Now you can see Spider-Man. We ain't see Spider-Man
No.
since he started live stream. We didn't even know Spider-Man was back there. But
Oh,
now he got some lights and everything. Look at him at 55.
I know. I'm growed up.
Right. You load up.
To Noah's saying have some photos that show you in action as well. Now I see people that have stuff in the background, like a subscribe pillow, you know, wink, wink, you know, you're not saying it, but people are seeing it and it's
Mhm.
going through they brain waves.
Yeah. It depends on your market.
Yeah.
Whatever is a part of your market or whatever you're trying to project, that's what you need to have. Like I like Harry has that instrument back there. I like his Spider-Man. Go back. Just go back to you, Harry. Go back to you for a second. I like the lights in the back. I like that stuff, but that's for Harry. He got the record player there. That's great for Harry. If I had that stuff, people would be looking at me like, man, what you got that record player back there? It's not in alignment. So
Right.
think about your brand. Have things that will be connected and associated with what your brand is, what's unique to you. You don't have to try to copy anybody. Whatever's important to you, have it there because that's your personality. That's your business brand.
Yep. Definitely. So I think we were on photos and repurposing. Jason, did you go or no?
No,
No,
I
he
didn't.
didn't go yet.
Yeah.
I went before him because Jason is an expert in all this.
Jason,
So
you
I
got a
wanted to
minute.
make sure I could take notes.
You got a minute and a
This
half.
one actually is going to be very simple. This one's going to be simple. It is know your voice and own your voice. You know, when you know what your message is, what you know what you're bringing to your marketplace, and you are comfortable in that, you come across completely different than when you kind of fishing through it. You know, So really understand, and you know the best way to do that is by doing the live stream. You know, I don't know if you all knew about when Harry did the 100 video, the live stream challenge, but that right there is a transformational process. Like you go through that, and I'd say less than a week in, like maybe about your third or fourth live stream in, you start clicking, and then things start happening, and you start to get real comfortable in your space. And then every video after that, it's just solidifying that. Before you know it, you are so crystal clear on what you do, how you do it, why you do it, that folks start to really connect with you.
See that transformer right there?
Uh-huh.
That's what that is.
Exactly.
Transformation.
I like what Jason just said. You find your voice.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you
Right?
do.
If you don't know what your voice is, if you start doing lives, you'll find it. You find out a lot of things about yourself. You find out a lot about what is it you truly want to get out of this. You
Mhm.
find out about your fears and insecurities and how to do without even considering them. Or you're gonna find out your fears and insecurities. You like, I ain't got no insecurities, and you on a live stream and it's you by yourself. You like, man, ain't nobody love me no more. Ain't nobody like me. Nobody want.
Yeah, you know that's because they're looking at those numbers to see how many people are showing up live. Sometimes
Mhm.
that number is zero, and if you don't have enough alligator skin, that is crushing. And
Mhm.
exactly what Chris said. Nobody loves me. Nobody want to hear what I say.
Or if you see it go from a number and it goes down to zero, or you see nothing on there.
Yeah,
And nobody watching
you had
replay.
you had seven people initially, and then it just dropped to zero. Like
Mhm.
it's
Or if you start
it's
comparing yourself,
into it.
you know? And you also can't compare yourself to those who this is what they do. They live stream regularly, because you'll see people and they have 2,000 people inside of a room when they're live streaming. And if you start comparing yourself to them, you're going to mess yourself up, because
Really?
they've got their voice down, they have their audience down, they have cultivated and nurtured that audience.
And they've
So
probably
when
been
they
doing
go live,
it longer than you.
Right,
absolutely.
and it's something they know you that you don't know. See, a lot of people just look at live streaming or virtual, whatever you're gonna do virtual, and be like, all you gotta do is click on the camera and do your thing. No,
Yeah.
you're gonna learn things about how you're gonna have to increase engagement, hold people's attention, give a person a reason to want to hang out, to want to like, to want to share. That's that value exchange.
And
Those are
what you do leading up to it.
right,
Yeah.
right. So you got to respect the process, your growth process. It's okay while you're learning, right? So, but you just got to get out there and start doing and start. You ain't gonna find your voice if you ain't looking for it.
True
So
story.
you're gonna
Yeah,
be in 2021 like nobody calling me for DJ gigs. Yeah, there's a reason.
I showed this yesterday. That's how some people started their DJ career out.
And it might be some people doing it now. Got an old mixer. They don't have the Serato. It's a Serato, right? They don't have none of that. Can't afford none of that. They're using the iPad app thing. You gotta be able to do what you gotta do. Maximize it at your level.
Yeah.
And when you can afford those types of things, get it. I mean, there's a lot of things I want, but I ain't going out there and I ain't spending about 30, 40 grand just to get it here. I want to be able to grow into it, because if you don't have you together, you can have the best of everything and it won't even matter.
Exactly.
If you ain't together.
And check this out. Check this out. You know, and this is where professionals can miss it again. Okay. You can think that you either spend the 30 or 40 grand right now on getting everything that you don't even know how to use yet. Right.
Hold on, say that again, Jason. Say it because
I'm saying 30 to 40 grand on the stuff that you don't even know how to use yet. Okay.
Yeah.
I like what you just said about maximizing out what you have. Now, here's the key though. When you maximize out what you have and you start getting paid from that, then take that pay and upgrade from there. Don't take that pay and do something else with it. That pay is designed to grow your business. If you start doing foolish things with that money that comes in, well, you're not ready. Okay.
Right.
At the point stuff starts coming in, get that and upgrade and keep on up leveling and never get stuck on the less than professional stuff. You know, when you know that there is that next place to grow to, use the finances to then upgrade there until you have all the stuff that you know what to do with now.
Yeah.
I love that.
And what we're talking about is lighting. You know, you start to get some good lighting. You guys don't know, but I have a light right there. I have one in front of me, and I have a big box light when I need extra light. You know, depending on the time of the day. You know, you stop using your cell
phone flashlight.
Cell phone, you know, the cell phones are pretty decent, but you stop using that laptop from 2012 webcam that looked like a played out VHS that nobody rewinded.
Okay, but you know what though, Harry? Let me speak to that though real quick. Okay, because those things are also going to be on it depends lane, because some folks
webcam depends on good lighting.
Right. But what I'm saying though is that in your lighting scenario, depending on the kind of feel that you want to deliver to your audience, is going to determine. If it is intentional that you're doing certain things, then so be it. If you don't know what you're doing, that's a whole other thing. Okay. Right. If you want it to look a certain way and you're not getting there because you don't understand what you're doing, that's where you need to learn. But if you understand, okay, this kind of feel that I'm delivering, I want it to feel incomplete because the topic is going to be this, or the subject or the guest is going to be this. I want to diminish it. So that is where you start to craft your own environment. And then I would say, if you get the result that you're looking for, then you did the right job. If you don't, however, and you don't know what you're doing, then that's when you need to, okay, wait a minute, do I have these things together? Why am I not getting the traction that I'm looking for? Because the audience that you attracted in was not the audience that resonated well, felt well with what you did. So you have to figure that out with your audience and your message.
Then you got tripods that come into the thing to make yourself look, you know, steady, not shaky. You know, there's a number of things that come into play, and we'll touch on them at another time.
Hey, Harry, let me say something real quick on that.
Yes, sir.
I don't want anybody to walk away from this message and despise small beginnings, right?
Right.
If that's what you're using, something from back in 2012 or 1998, if it's still working, it can do what it do. Don't let that distract you from doing the work, right? But I would recommend take away something Jason said. He said, when you start making money and getting paid for it, your top goal is to reinvest. But don't let, I only got this, stop you. No, go with what you got. Even if everything you got to do is from a phone, just do it. Do the work. But then when you start getting income for it, invest and go. Invest and grow. But don't take from this conversation, oh, I ain't got all that, so I'm not going to do it. No, do the work. Continue, fight for it, get out there and scrap for it, stay scrappy, and everything that comes in, go ahead and reinvest it into that.
Yeah, because most of the time you see, hold on one second, Jason. Most of the time you see everybody who's got that plush everything. Right. They always say, "Look at my beginning videos." Where I was just on a cell phone, walking myself, using the microphone from the cell phone, everything, you know, nothing professional like what we got or what you guys are using.
So, and when I started out, I remember I was an intern over at Time Warner, and they would send us out with the ratty equipment. Okay, we didn't get the chip cameras, we didn't get all the high-end Ikigamas or none of that. No Sonys. It was the tube cameras that if you had them on too long, the color shifted.
It got too hot.
True story. And we had to learn though how to maximize those. So I actually messed up one day and had the wrong filter on it. And when I brought it back to the studio, it was blown out, but it looked real filmy. I'm like, man, this doesn't look like video. This looks like film. After that point, I shot like that all the time. And they would always ask, like, what camera did you shoot with? I'm like, the tube cameras. They're like, you didn't get that off the tube cameras. So you always can push the envelope on your equipment if you learn to master your equipment, you could do things with that nobody else, not even the manufacturers, thought that could be done.
Yep.
Okay. So maximize what you have, blow it out, really understand the nuances of your business, and then blow up from there.
Roger that. So I want to thank you guys for showing up and just dropping a lot of knowledge on everybody about stuff they can do to to get up to speed for
Mhm.
2021 for these DJs. Now it is a
Hey,
whole bunch more, and we can dive an hour. Yes, Chris.
one more. One
Yes.
last one, Harry. I gotta say this is something that I do, and I do it now. I do
Mhm.
this in every arena of my life, and that is because Dr. Dennis Kimbrough said one time, "If you're the smartest one in your group, you need
Right.
a new group." I live by this principle. If you want to get better, you're gonna have to hang around people doing better than you.
Mhm.
Right? You got to look for people that's doing what you want to do at the level you want to do it. And I challenge myself that way. I'm a part of a group now where, I'm in the room with people that the type of technology that they're using and everything else that they got. I mean, these guys are doing some phenomenal things. Some people that I'm hanging around and learning from, hanging around Jason and hanging around Harry. They're good at some things that I have to reach, stretch, and strive for, but that keeps me in a process of learning.
Mhm.
Right? You'll get better hanging around people that do things better than you, especially if they're the things in the arena you want to do it. Like, I would recommend a new DJ to hang out, to meet, to learn from, to mentor, to get some coaching from the international DJ Tommy Lee. Why? Because that new DJ can learn from Tommy some amazing things that could shorten the learning curve for them to be able to grow, but they're not going to grow hanging around Peanut and Ray Ray at the rate that they can do hanging around somebody like Tommy Lee. So you want to get around people that's going to cause you to reach, stretch, and grow. And I had to share that because that's very important, because I look at my life and I look at that's the number one thing I do when I want to get better at something. I hang around that. I invest in the books. I invest in CDs. I invest in some coaching with these people, and it's not cheap.
Right.
Right.
Sometimes the coaching costs more than the equipment I want to buy, but hey, I need that knowledge and I'll just have to recoup it or get the equipment later. But I need that knowledge. So I like hanging around people that are smarter than me in areas that I want to learn and improve in.
Yeah.
And
And to Chris's point, that coaching, it may cost a little bit more and it may take like 10 hours out of your life or whatever, when you mix all the time together. But what it saves you and what it allows you to do quicker, it may shave off 10 hours a month off of what you do. And then so that's 120 hours per year that you've gotten back. Now, if you're charging, 150, $200 per hour, you just put in your pocket tens of thousands of dollars just on getting that coaching that you needed, which probably cost a fraction of that.
Right.
yep,
Facts.
yep, definitely.
That's it, Harry. That's all I got. I'm
Okay,
good. I'm
y'all
good.
sure this
Good.
time?
I'll wait for part two. I'll wait for part two. Wait for part
So I wanted to again thank you guys for coming on and sharing with the community, the DJ interview community, just tips and tricks to get ready, get that mind flowing, get some new thoughts going through your head, just off of just what you guys said. And
Mhm.
my birthday is tomorrow, is Wednesday, the 23rd. If you're watching the replay sometime in January, then it would be was. I'm gonna come on here and we're just gonna um, chop it up, get to know you guys. You'll get to ask me questions like why do I have Spider-Man there? Why has he been there, since I started streaming? So Harry the Big Dog. This is the DJ interview, and we are out.